Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast. I am your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the Wellpoint studios at Wellpoint. Your whole health is their whole point. And we thank our friends at Wellpoint for bringing us here this podcast, which is called Health Minute by Wellpoint. And we also want to thank the rest of our podcast sponsors, our friends at Washington Savings Bank. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, from affordable to luxurious, apartments for all. Boston North Company, business solutions for restaurant and retail. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection for nearly a century. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on for 41 plus years. And by the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. And with that, I want to bring you my special guest for this Health Minute by Wellpoint. She is the medical director at Wellpoint, Dr. Carolyn Langer. Hello, Dr. Langer. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning, Teddy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to have you here. We're both chipper and feeling good on this August day. Some people watching this may not. Some people may be, for whatever reason, feeling some sadness, feeling some depression. Before we talk about depression, how about we kind of define what is depression? How would you describe it from a clinical perspective?
Yeah, so I think of depression as simply being a mood disorder that impacts the way that you think and feel. So if you're feeling sad, you're feeling angry, you have grief, sometimes that is a normal reaction. But if these symptoms persist for more than 2 weeks, it could be a sign that you have depression.
How many people does it affect? And it seems like it's a lot more today, so I'm not sure. Is it affecting more people? Are we more open about it? So how many people would you say deal with it at some point in their lives?
Yeah, according to a new Gallup report, nearly 30% of Americans over the age of 18 have reported experiencing depression at some point in their lifetime. At any given moment, about 16 million Americans experience depression.
Wow, 30%. So almost 1 in 3.
That's right.
Americans.
Yeah.
So are we talking about different types of depression, different levels of depression?
So according to the Cleveland Clinic, there are several types of depression. This can include postpartum depression, seasonal affective disorder, clinical depression. So clinical depression, sometimes simply called depression, is the most severe type of depression.
What are some of the symptoms? How do I know, or how can I tell in a loved one whether they're they're just kind of having a bad day or a bad week at work or whatever, and when there's we need to kind of get a handle on this?
Yeah, so experts at the Mayo Clinic say that when you're experiencing persistent or constant symptoms, that could be a sign of depression. So, for example, you're having these symptoms on a near daily basis, having them for extended periods throughout the day. So some common symptoms of depression are experiencing feelings of hopelessness, sadness, grief, excessive fatigue or low energy. You may have a poor appetite and lose weight. You may be eating too much and gain weight. You may be sleeping too little or sleeping too much. Some other symptoms that you might experience are being easily irritated or frustrated, feeling dissociated from family and friends, having no desire to socialize, maybe just not getting pleasure out of activities that once gave you a lot of joy. And then you may simply be having trouble thinking, concentrating, making decisions. In some cases, some individuals may have feelings of self-harm or even suicide.
All of these symptoms you discuss, I bet you 100% of our viewers and listeners and 100% of the people around the world have experienced them at one point or another. When is it time to seek help?
Yeah, and you make a great point, because many of these symptoms are natural reactions to bad events that happen in our daily lives. But when your symptoms really become persistent, when they last more than 2 weeks, it may be a sign that you're experiencing true depression.
All right. Sometimes the symptoms are such that, you know what, all right, I'm going to call somebody to get some help. Sometimes they're urgent, where people unfortunately start thinking about harming themselves. What's the first step? Let's talk about the most severe case right now. You're thinking about harming yourself, taking your own life. What's the first step that people need to do?
No, it's important to understand that if you're in a crisis situation, there is help immediately available to you. So you can start by calling 988. So this is a 24/7 confidential line, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or you can go to their website, 988lifeline.org. If it's a true emergency, you should call 911 right away or go to the closest emergency room. But if it's not a crisis, but you do notice that these symptoms are really preventing you from doing regular activities of daily living, they're impacting work, socialization with friends and loved ones, or eating, sleeping, you may want to start by calling your primary care provider.
All right. What are some of the ways that depression is treated? And I want to start with people kind of self-treating themselves, right? Which in some cases, if you're going for a run or to the gym, might be helpful. If you're turning to substances, not helpful. What are some of the ways that depression is treated?
Right. So let's start with lifestyle changes, since you already mentioned that. There certainly are some things that can help you. So eating healthy foods, getting enough sleep, trying to disconnect a little bit from social media and spend more time socializing with friends or loved ones. But your primary care provider or other healthcare provider may recommend some medications. They may also recommend a referral to a mental health provider. So there are a lot of things that can be done to treat depression. It is fortunately one of the most treatable mental health conditions.
All right, good stuff. And it all starts at treating a problem. Is the best beginning is to be aware of the problem. And I think we kind of have given folks a little bit better of an understanding. Dr. Langer, as always, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. Good to be here today, Teddy.
Great to have you, and great to have all of you joining us here as well. We hope you learned something that will prove helpful for you or to the benefit of a loved one or a family member at some point in the future if they ever need it. Thank you for joining us on this Health Minute by Wellpoint. Till next month, everybody, please stay healthy.